Hello my lovely listeners, and welcome again to the next chapter in my weekly read aloud instalment from my debut novel Where Did Your Heart Go? And we're now up to chapter 63, so grab that favourite drink of yours and lounge against those pillows. As Saturday dawned, I lay in bed and drank in the silence of the house. Then pulling my dressing gown on, I wandered downstairs and waited as the coffee brewed. Checking my emails, I found one from James, so after I filled my mug, I put the radio on and sat down. Dearest Stephanie, this is a bit like today's version of the letters we used to send to each other, just much quicker. Also, you don't have to decipher my awful writing. It was lovely to talk to you last night. Once again, I'm sorry if it felt like I was pushing you to make a decision, which I know is going to be difficult for you in such a short space of time. Ever since the night I walked out of your life, I have regretted it every day. And I've quite often over the passing years thought about you, wondering what you were doing, and whether you still thought of me. Sadly, I must have mislaid the St. Christopher you gave me, and believe me, I have searched long and hard for it. I paused and took a sip of my coffee. It was easier to read typing than his writing, and his comment made me smile. Then when he mentioned the St. Christopher, I knew that although he might have thought he had lost it, he probably knew Felicity had removed it. He still didn't know that I knew exactly where it was. I had worn it for a while, and then when my relationship with Mark had grown from friendship, I'd removed it. It was safely wrapped up in a small piece of material, white, with black hearts on it. His letter continued. So, this Rock on the River event sounds great and a lot of hard work for you for the next week, so I'll try my best to back off and keep things friendly. I still work for the Fire and Rescue Service and I still love it even after all these years. Do you remember that comment you made about fires to put out, people to save and cats to rescue? Well, there have been a lot of all of them, and I hope to tell you about the cats sometime. I've had a quick chat with Darren, but he has other things on his mind at the moment, so not sure whether it has really sunk in. Anyway, your wonderful daughter is currently in the garage with my son, dancing as seems usual. Brackets. The garage has been converted into a studio, by the way. Close brackets. But I'm going to drag them out later for a family dinner to celebrate Darren's good news. I do wish that you were here, but there I go again, trying to push too hard. Take care, all my love. James. I finished the email and got up to refill my mug and pop some bread in the toaster. Then I read my other emails and turned to the electronic copy of the plan I had ready for this afternoon. Mark, Ian and Paul were coming over, as well as Jack and Mr. Ford from the hospital. I had a few hours to kill before we were due to meet down at the pub. As I cleared up, Paul announced, "This song is from Stephanie's secret admirer, who has returned from his absence last week. Today he's chosen Valerie, by Steve Windward. Just a substitute for the name Stephanie. From your secret admirer who is counting down the days until Saturday." As the song played, I sat down and listened to the lyrics, trying to see if there was a clue. But the only one I could come up with was, "I'm the same boy I used to be." Could it be someone from my school days? I still had no idea, as I dropped Paul a text asking him to play Too Shy by Kajagoogoo. As I dredged my mind, a thought struck me. What if it was James pretending to be my secret admirer? Now that would account for the choice of song, and possibly some of the others. But how could I find out for certain? Or should I just start to choose some songs that would hint that I had guessed? After a quick bite to eat for lunch, I decided to walk through town the long way. I picked up some flowers from the market and ended up in the graveyard. Picking my way along the path, despite the sun, I felt a slight shiver run down my spine as I reached the stone. Placing the flowers onto the ground, I moved the dead ones away, ready to drop in the bin on my way out. The inscription etched into it read, "Mark Eden, loving husband and father to Stephanie and Charlotte, suddenly taken from life. 24th of November 1968, 17th of April 1995. The whole funeral had passed me by without me fully taking part. I remember standing there in the church holding Charlotte tightly, but no tears fell. I guessed that everyone else thought I was still numb with shock, but I had never really cried that much. I told myself that I needed to get on with my life for Charlie's sake. In truth, Mark had been a fantastic friend, and I owed him my life in the truest sense of the word. He deserved better than me, a broken shell of a girl. Standing up, I felt the guilt inside of me like a large stone weighing me down. As I walked away, I heard my phone ting. "Hi, Steph. It's a lovely morning. Just checking you received my email. Hope you have a good day and I'll give you a call later. Just let me know the best time. Kiss." I replied with my own text. "Yes, thanks. Busy already, but I'll send you a reply later." Even in his grave, Mark could not escape the spectre of our marriage. Walking down to the river, I turned to imagine what it was going to look like in a week's time. We were expecting nearly 500 people, and with the various bands and performing artists, the numbers would be over 1,000 on the day. I saw Jack sat on one of the benches outside the pub and walked over. "Hi, Jack." "Hey, Steph," he replied, standing up to pull me into a hug. "How are things?" "Well, good, thanks. Looking forward to next weekend," I replied. A car pulled into the car park and I saw Mark, Ian and Paul get out and head towards us. "Is this everyone from our lot?" Ian asked. "Yes, we're just waiting for the technical guys and Mr. Ford," I replied. As Mark talked to the technical guys about power for lighting and sound, I watched them stride around and spoke to the company supplying the stage and dance floor. Jack and Mr. Ford went through all the advertising hoardings with Paul and Ian. After a couple of hours it seemed that everything was in place. As I lived the closest, I would meet the guys on Wednesday morning for the start of the setup and also be their contact at the end of the day. Bidding goodbye to the technical guys and Mr. Ford, I turned to the others. "Do you want to stay for a food and drink here, or I've got some in at home? I can rustle up some food," I offered. "Your place sounds like a great idea. We can have a final look through the running order," Paul said. Jack gave me a lift back in his car and the others followed as we adjourned to the back garden. "I'm really looking forward to meeting Rick," I said. "He's been an idol of mine for quite a while." "Only second to George Michael," I laughed. "God, you and George! I'd stand a better chance with him," Jack joked. "Yeah, you're more his type," Ian said. "But are you looking forward to meeting your secret admirer?" Paul asked. "I guess so," I replied. "I think he's trying to give me clues in the songs as to who he is." "Any ideas yet?" Mark asked. "I have my suspicions, but I'm not 100% sure yet," I replied, feeling a blush rise to my cheeks. Eventually the guys went home, except for Jack, who decided to have a drink and stay over. Whilst he went out to get some pizza for supper, I picked up my phone and dropped James a text. "Jack's here at the moment and staying over, so I'll give you a call tomorrow morning instead, when I'm alone. You remember Jack? I used to work with him on hospital radio." James replied with, "Okay, I do remember Jack. He's the gay one, right, so I don't have anything to worry about?" My reply, "That's right, he remembers you too. Fancies you and all." James must be laughing at this stage because he replied with, "I'll bear that in mind if things don't work out with us. Lol." When Jack returned, I changed into my comfy clothes and poured us both another beer as we settled in for a night on the sofa and a film. I was preoccupied with James, and in a way I wished he was sharing this evening with me. Climbing into bed later, I grabbed my tablet and sent a reply to his earlier email. "Dear James, sorry for the delay, but today has just flown by so quickly. All plans for next Saturday have been finalised, so it's just roll on and deal with any last-minute glitches, which undoubtedly there will be. I've still managed to spend a fair amount of time thinking about us. Your email this morning made me smile. If this technology had been around when we got together, we would have probably sent each other lots more emails and texts. Yet, writing an email is almost the same as a letter, and sometimes it's easier to write down in words what you're unable to say in person or over the phone. Since I gave my diary from 1988 to Charlie, I've been doing quite a lot of soul-searching regarding my past. Although with my visible scars, I guess I never really escaped from it, if the truth be told. As you said when we met, you don't want to be alone again, and I can wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment. You have the easier side of things, just falling back in love with me. It is harder for me, as I never truly fell out of love with you. I just suppressed my feelings and tried to mask them with happiness, either forced or induced. Even though Charlotte is a real joy to my life, brackets, and I wouldn't be without her now, close brackets, the circumstances around her being here hold enormous pain, and I now need to reconcile myself with the fact that I managed to screw up someone else's chance of true happiness. Unfortunately, I can't just tell Mark I'm sorry for never loving him. That is why you need to be patient with me, and don't give up if I seem to swing one way and then the other. All I can be certain of is that it's going to take time to unbreak my heart. Keep in touch this week, it brightens my day. Love, Steph. I read it back through and hesitated with the delete button over the last paragraph, but in the end I just closed my eyes and pressed send. Feeling my eyelids getting heavy, I fell asleep. This time I dreamed about Mark. I was there as the faceless stranger attacked him and stabbed him over and over again. I tried to run and help, but I was glued to the spot, as his attacker seemed to sense me in the dark shadows. Turning to remove the balaclava that hid the identity, long dark hair tumbled loose, and I found myself staring at the bitch as she started to walk towards me. She was laughing and telling me that I would never be happy. She had robbed that from my whole life. I woke up with a start as I felt hands on my shoulders. Looking up, it was Jack I saw. "Steph, wake up," Jack said softly. "You were screaming." I stared at him, not quite knowing what was going on as reality came into focus. "Sorry, Jack, must have been having a bad dream," I said, struggling to sit up. "Do you want to talk about it?" he asked, settling back on the covers. Sitting silently, I tried to clear the image from my head. "No, it's okay. I think I can deal with it. Although you can go and get me a glass of water." Jack hurried downstairs, which gave me the chance to turn the bedside light on and banish the dark shadows from the room. I found one of my pills and quickly swallowed it before Jack returned. Handing me the glass, he sat down. "If you need me to stay in here, I can," he offered. "Thanks, but I think I'll be all right now. I might just read my book before I go back to sleep." "Cool. Just call. I'm only next door." Leaning over, he dropped a kiss on my lips. "Night, Steph." "Night, Jack, and thank you," I said softly, watching him disappear through the doorway. Then after a few chapters, the pill kicked in, and I fell asleep with the light on. So, edging closer to the end. I will get there, hopefully by the end of this year, and then it's whether you want me to read the second book out, which I'd be quite happy to do. Anyway, don't forget, you can get your hands on the first book now. On Kindle, it's only 99p. In paperback, it's a little bit more expensive. And if you want a signed one, just get in touch with me on my email or on Facebook or Twitter. Just drop me a message. My website is www.audrinalane.co.uk, and you can just type in my name on Facebook or Twitter and I will appear, hopefully. Well, not in person anyway. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that chapter. Pretty poignant one if you ask me. And I'll see you again next time. So it's bye for now.